Hello guys, it's Grandalot here with a crafting video. I crafted most of my stuff by myself, although a few things are very old. I would really like to replace them, but I've not been able to yet, either due to resistances or due to very high rolls for stats that I want, like for example the 86% fire damage that you see on this wand and the 84 that you see on this one. And I want to eventually craft a couple of earthquake scepters to replace my wands, but it will depend on what I can get on the scepters. These two in particular are low level. You can see they're level 81 compared to level 87 and 92 of my two wands, so the odds are not exactly in my favor here, but at least I wanted to make a video guide to show how the crafting process is done and how you can hunt for specific stats, although a lot of it is RNG based. So if you have been doing a little bit of trading in the auction house because you find the loot goblin, you get the gold thingies that are over here, I believe, these, and you craft the statues and you sell them, you make a bit of this currency. That's a guaranteed way to get the things that you want from the auction house, as long as you can afford them. But eventually you're going to gather a lot of crafting components, so it's good to spend a bit of time to see if you can craft things by yourself and save premium currency. So let's go to have a look at how things are done. Now, the first thing that I do every time that I craft something that starts as magic is that I scour, I reverse it. I will probably be using a lot of Path of Exile terms here. If you're not familiar with Path of Exile, I'm sorry. The reason is that we want to improve the quality of the weapon or the armor that we want to craft, and the only way to do it is when the item that we're crafting is a basic item. So we're going to do this, it's going to become a basic item. Then we want to move to the Eye of the Beholder currency. I have used hundreds of these, probably more than 200. They drop relatively often. And the quality can be between 1 and 20. I have never seen 20. And the values between 1 and 5 are the most common, 5 and 10 less common, and so on and so forth. So it's not like 1% has the same chances of happening as 11%. No, 11% is a very good roll. I'm going to keep it because I'm running a little bit low on this. After this, we want to turn it into a magic item. Here there can be 1, 2, 3 stats now. Considering that I have a ton of these, I will be using this one to see if we can high roll, so to speak, and get 3 stats. So now that I have 3 slots of stats that are open, what I want to do is use this essence, the Magic Birth essence, and keep rolling until I see appearing fire. The other option is to use this essence and tell the game, look, I would really like to get fire damage percentage. The problem is that these essences are difficult to get. I got very few. They can be crafted using a ton of these. It can be a little bit tricky. Depending on how many resources you have, you can craft a bunch of these and go for the safe roll, because this will guarantee that every time that I press the button, I'm going to get a fire percentage roll, with the other rolls still being random. I would like to see a high roll, if possible. It would make me very happy. Okay, after a few rolls, I got 77% fire damage, which is a little bit lower than what I have here, just a tiny bit. But I also get some extra attack and spell damage here. Let's unveil the last stat to see what it is. Speed, not particularly relevant. Now let's see this roll. This roll can be anything between 75 and 88. We can use this essence now, and every time that we roll it, the values will change. 86, pretty good. But considering that I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of it, I will keep rolling until I see 88. That 87 was very tempting, but never give up, never surrender. There we go, we did it. So at this point, the only realistic thing we can do is upgrade it to a rare essence and see what happens. We got 2 extra stats. Cold resist, totem duration, and we got an empty slot. In order to have an extra slot at the end there, we need to use this kind of essence. It rolled intelligence. It could have been a stat roll like this one, giving us intelligence, or it could have been a question mark. If it was a question mark, we would have had to use one of his essences to reveal. Now, are we happy with this? I would say I'm fairly happy, although it could be improved. But in order to know how to improve it, we need to have a look at the prefixes and suffixes chart to see what is the stuff that we want to keep and what is the stuff that we want to change. This is a chart that shows all the possible prefixes and suffixes for this kind of scepter. It's from a website that I find very valuable when it comes to crafting, and I will put a link in the description so you can go to have a look at it. And if you compare what we have here with what is listed here, you will notice that these 3 are the prefixes and these 3 are the suffixes. Now, am I happy about the suffixes? Well, I have a max possible fire damage roll, so I'm pretty happy about it. Cold resistance, not super excited about it. In general, I would prefer, of course, chaos resistance, but it's not the worst thing. Intelligence, it's alright. Prefixes. Weapon attack and spell damage, pretty trash. Attack speed for the weapon, pretty trash. Totem duration, yeah, I'm using a totem recently in my build, but I would say that the prefixes are some of the worst that I could have gotten. Because hit rate, mana on kill, life on kill, extra flat damage, extra damage percentage on specific targets would have all been much, much better. Considering that we are fairly happy with the suffixes but not happy at all with the prefixes, what we can do is, using these, this one in particular, this one is going to reroll all the prefixes of this item. It could give us like 1 stat and a couple of question marks, or 3 question marks, or other things are could be happening, but it's not going to touch these. My 88% fire damage roll is going to be safe. So this one, by the way, will remove 1. This one will reroll the suffixes. This one will remove 1 suffix. There are some cases in which this kind of remove 1 stat can be very useful. Personally, this one, which removes 1 random option from an item, is when there is 1 option that I really don't want, like reduce gear requirements. It's a completely wasted roll. But there are some other things that are good, but maybe not amazing. So if I hit the one that I want to remove, I'm happy. If not, I will just start from scratch. But let's go back to our scepter. I'm going to use this one. We got physical damage, which is absolutely useless for us, and a couple of question marks. That's annoying. We can now do 2 things. One is we give up, we reveal the last 2 question mark prefixes, and we see if we got anything decent. The more Spartan way to approach this is to remove a prefix option. We now have 3 question marks, and we have to pray the RNG gods that what we get is going to be decent, because I only have 3 of these. But the good thing is that the process can be repeated, meaning that if I reveal one of these, it's going to be removable by using this. So Damage against enemies affected by damage over time is pretty okay for me. Pretty okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. Mana on kill, excellent. Unfortunately, it's a low roll, but it's fine. Regardless of what the last one is, I'm happy with the... Okay. Unfortunately, we high rolled the AB sling damage, which I don't use at all right now. But even if this was not a stat, like if it was empty, if it was completely bricked, I would still be very happy with this scepter. There are some universes in which you have enough currency to try to high roll and remove the AB sling damage, going for the 1 in 3. But considering that I'm very happy about these two, I will not try to remove this one just to roll again and see if I can get something better. I'm pretty happy about this scepter right now. I think that in the future, once I get way more of this currency, I may consider trying to do some prefix rerolling shenanigans, but I would say for now we are done with this scepter, so we can move to the next one to see if it's going to be exactly the same process or if different things will happen. Okay, I didn't get fire damage, but these two are pretty nice. So let's see if we can get a bit lucky. We got strength. Let's see what we get here. Not very good, unfortunately. I mean, it's probably good for some builds, but not for mine. Now, when this happens, that you upgrade an item to a rare item and you're not very happy with what happened, one option is keep rerolling, keep going, using this currency. The other option is restart from scratch. I personally prefer to restart from scratch, because once you start farming maps, you will have a ton of blue currency, really a ton, but the yellow one, the currency that allows you to handle rare items, is going to be a little bit harder to come by. So I prefer to work with this, trying to make the item as close to perfect as possible, using blue currency, and then move to the yellow one. Fire damage percentage. We got a 10 on the second roll. That's exceptional, meaning that we we go to our good friend here, the Magic Change Essence, and I will be rolling until I get 87 or 88, possibly 88. Oh, of course, if you have a low amount of these and you roll like 86 or 87 or whatever you are trying to roll, you can settle for that. But since I have 100... Oh, good, I'm glad that I started talking. Since I have hundreds, I would rather go for the perfect 88. So now we upgraded to a rare. We got hit points on kill, attack and spell damage, and we're missing one stat. Let's add the last missing stat, see what happens. Critical damage is really bad for me, because my stats cannot crit. My spells cannot crit. Going back to the chart that I used previously, we can see that these are the prefixes, the first 3, and these are the suffixes, the last 3. This time, unfortunately, I did not get any resistance roll. If this one, instead of critical damage, was chaos resist, I would have been very happy, but unfortunately, life is not my job. We are once again in a situation where my 3 prefixes are probably some of the worst for my build. Yeah, definitely some of the worst. So I'm going to use the same kind of strategy and rerolling prefixes. Considering that I'm starting to be a bit low on currency, I will probably not touch these, and I will keep the scepter as it is, but I will start working on another one because suffixes can definitely be improved a lot. Ideally, in a perfect world, I would get fire damage, something here like burn rate or damage over time amplification, or, you know, resistances, particularly chaos. But as long as I get a high roll fire damage percentage and 1 resistance, I'm happy. This one, a little bit questionable, but it will work for a while. Okay, now that I'm back in the game, I'm going to reroll my prefixes again. We got What Did I Like? Extra damage against enemies affected by status effects. One that I really don't like, 8% speed, and a mystery. We have a couple of options. One is Unveil the Thing. I actually cannot, I would have to craft this kind of currency. Or remove a prefix, hoping that we hit this one, a 50-50. Or reroll all of them. I will go for the 50-50. Please, God. That sucked. Which means we're going to reroll all the prefixes and hope for some better luck. We got Mana on Kill, which I like. Flat spell damage, okay, not the worst thing. And we have one that we have to reveal. I do not have this. I will need to go to craft it at the alchemy station. Okay, now that I got one. There's a few things that I would really like to dodge, while there are a few things that I would really like to get. Let's pray the RNG gods. We got hit rate, not the worst thing. Could have been worse, could have been better, but it's alright. So are these 2 scepters that we just crafted better than the ones that I was using before, even though the ones are higher level? The ones actually provide me with a better damage output, but the scepters are behind by just roughly 9%. On the other hand, the fact that the scepters give me a ton of resistances give me more room for improving the rest of my gear without having to worry about the resistances too much. For example, it should not be very difficult for me to be able to get rings better than what I'm currently using. I just need to drop the same base, hopefully at a higher level, and fish for a high elemental damage roll while keeping an eye open for poison, fire resistance and other useful things. But at least lightning resistance is something that I don't need to worry about it at all. And keep in mind that when you are crafting something for yourself, you need to be on the lookout for high rolls, because what happened to me just a couple of days ago while I was trying to craft some scepters was this little happy accident, which is going to be fantastic for a damage build, a damage over time poison build, but it's not exactly what I'm using right now. So I just put it in the bank, I put it there. Eventually we will be using this, maybe try to remove 2 of the prefixes I don't care about too much and see if we can do some extra high rolling, but you know, just keep an eye on the things that you drop and that you craft, because you can find some nice things in there. And that will be all for my scepter crafting video. We had a few high rolls, a few low rolls, but all in all I'm pretty happy about the results. Hopefully in the next few days I will get some more improvement for my gear, and we will going up in Chaos Map tiers. Bye guys, take care!